Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Declined Invite, the only invite worth accepting. I'm your host, the extroverted IT leader, Ryan Drumheller, and today's episode is one I think a lot of ambitious people are generally going to connect with because we're talking about something that quietly impacts high performers everywhere, and that's success without fulfillment. Because a lot of people spend years chasing achievement and growth, money, titles, optimization, external validation, only to eventually realize they feel disconnected, exhausted, or empty underneath it all. So joining me today is Alan Lazaros. Alan is the co-founder of the Next Level University, a peak performance coach, speaker, and someone who openly shares his journey around personal growth, discipline, consistency, fulfillment, and what sustained success actually looks like long term. One thing that stood out to me about Alan's story is how a nearly fatal car accident completely reshaped his perspective on life, success, purpose, and fulfillment. So today we're going to talk about all of those topics: ambition, burnout, optimization, and more. And with that, Alan, I'd like to welcome you to Decline Invite. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to anyone who is listening. It is an honor, and I don't say that lightly because the 21st century is very noisy, and if you're listening to me at all, I think that's a really big responsibility.
What a powerful opening statement already. Let's see if we can keep that going on my side. So one of the first things we like to do is just go into some light icebreakers. So what personal growth and self-improvement always something you naturally gravitated towards?
No, so yeah, definitely not. I do think it was something that I would have gravitated towards had it been exposed to me. I playfully refer to where I grew up, as much as this might upset someone that I grew up with, as the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And the reason I do is because small town, born and raised in Massachusetts, and in hindsight, I'm 37 now, I realized that I always had these huge goals and dreams, and I always talked about them. And a lot of other people would kind of dream with me, but I didn't realize how much of that was actually catalyzed by me. So I didn't find personal development or self-improvement or personal growth until I was 26. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't improve, but before my car accident at 26 that you mentioned in the opening, I now break it into three categories. I'm a coach, as you mentioned, and I call it my magic number. I've coached 7,165 sessions. So 7,165 hours. I'm going for my 10,000 hours. And all people all over the world, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different companies, all different industries. It's been unbelievable. I learned more from my clients than they learned from me, for sure. But anyways, so the reason I say that isn't to brag. It's so that you know I'm not just talking. The thing that I've come to understand is that we all have these sort of three categories that if we want to be successful holistically, we have to master. The first one is personal development. That's you. The second one is social development, which is others. And then the third one is professional development, which is what I call the world. Yourself, others, and the world. You have to understand yourself, others, and the world. So yourself is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual development, the inner game, the inner work, self-belief, self-worth, self-respect, self-discipline, these kinds of things, working on yourself. The second one is social development. This is the one, empathy, compassion, trust building, relationship building, effective communication. How do you get along with other people? How do you lead a team? And then the third one is professional development, which is resume, cover letter, goals, metrics, habits, skills, identity. This is more of the hard skills type of stuff. And what I've found is that everyone, including myself, has a natural inclination towards one of them. So I call it green, yellow, red. Everyone has a green, everyone has a yellow, and everyone has a red. And the reason you're not more successful is usually because of the red. For me, the red was personal development. So professional development, resume, cover letter, I call it STEMBIF, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and finance. That stuff came easy. Math and science was my jam. We were mining for Bitcoin in my dorm room in 2007. Like, none of that was ever going to be a huge challenge for me. Math always came really easy. Engineering school, albeit I partied a lot, but that came easy too. And so in hindsight, no, I did not do personal development, and I realized why. Number one, I didn't really know it was a thing. And number two, I think I was fearful of facing my past. So my birth father died when I was 2. My stepfather left when I was 14. This is a long story we can get into if you want, but I essentially lost 3 families by the time I was 14 because we didn't really associate much with my birth father's family anymore. And then my mom got in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, her sister. We got kind of ostracized from her side of the family. So I had a very abnormal childhood in every sense of the word. And while some of it was good, a lot of it was really deeply painful. So I kind of, the metaphor is when Simba goes back to Pride Rock and like faces his past. And I definitely had my Hakuna Matata phase where I was partying. And 26, my car accident happened. My dad died in a car at 28. And I was 2 when he died. And when I was 26, I got in a head-on collision, my fault, like pretty bad. And fortunately, no one was killed because it would have been my fault. But that was sort of the second chance my dad never got. And so after that, I found self-improvement, personal growth, and personal development. And I went all in. That was 11 years ago. I mean, the Stephen Covey, Tony Robbins, the Jim Rohn, every personal development speaker, every personal development book, every self-help, everything you can think of. And now here I am, 37, realizing a lot of it is hot garbage.
Yeah, I think something like that gives you a perspective, gives you a choice, and like you said, a second chance at that point. I'm sure just a rush of emotions, a rush of every thought. I know what things are like for me when I'm heavily thinking and then something happens, but we're talking about serious things. We're talking about life altering things. And yeah, I find myself researching quite a bit now, and you kind of do uncover some of that. I'm looking forward to some of your other responses and questions here, because I do feel like eventually along the way we kind of find, you know what, this is actually what I think and feel, and this is just going to be my natural self, and we're going to take that ride as far as we can ride it. And for those that get on, fantastic. For those that don't, well, it's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, that took. I think when I reached my 30s, I started to. There's 2 sort of forms of self improvement, and usually it starts in the more immature one, and this is where I started for sure, which is I don't like this about myself or my life, so I'm going to try to go change it, and that's fine. I think that's where we start. Eventually, you reach a point where it's self awareness, self acceptance, and then self improvement. So self awareness is okay. I am weird, and that's okay. I'm going to accept that, and then I'm going to see how far I can take that. Versus I don't like myself, so I'm going to change myself. It needs to be okay. Self awareness. This is my uniqueness. This is my natural inclinations. This is who I am, and it's very different, or whatever. For me, it's very different than other people. But some people, for you, self acceptance might be not you, but anyone listening. It could be that you are average. Some people are average. That's fine. Some people have to accept that they're gifted. Some people have to accept that they're average. Some people have to accept that they're below average. And here's the cool part. Once you accept whatever that is, now you can create this sort of empowering growth journey from that place of self-acceptance. I think self-acceptance, and I'm an engineer, so when I first heard that term, I was like, no. But it's definitely where you need to start is self-awareness and self-acceptance first, which you can't really do if you don't understand others in the world. So to me, it's self, others in the world. You have to understand yourself, others in the world, and otherwise you're like a self-driving car that doesn't understand that it's like a self-driving car that thinks it's a road, but it's actually a lake, and you keep driving off a cliff into the lake repeatedly and then blaming yourself or blaming the world or blaming the government. When in reality, all of us we have huge blind spots in one of those 3 areas. And that's what my coaching is to me, accurate thinking is the start of all aligned, mature, wise self-improvement.
Yeah, there was so much of what you had just said where like I'm playing the thoughts in my mind and the phases that I go through, have gone through, think about, whatever. And yeah, it's spot on. I give you an example of every one of those. I won't, because we're here for you, not for me. So
Well,
uh,
if you want, I'm curious. If you want, it's your call.
yeah, no, I just I've been called something of a extroverted IT leader, IT unicorn, as you will. My company that I just started about a month ago, the symbol is literally a IT unicorn, so that I have to now take that negative that I've associated it with, just because of what's going on in the IT market and everything, and many
Yeah.
questions and late nights of somebody with my resume, kind of thing. I had to have a nice dose of humble pie and absorb that. Now I look at that as I'm going to turn that into a symbol of pride, or at least I'm going to go down trying to turn it into a
Damn right.
symbol of pride.
Good for you.
But you got to go through all of those phases that you mentioned, and it did not just happen at the
You
snap of
love
a
the
finger.
inversion. Decline invite, say yes to the podcast. Something that was negative, you turn into a positive. You love that inversion. That's cool.
We're trying anyways.
Nice.
So what would you say that something people misunderstand about success?
How important your peer group is. And people say it, right? You're the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are, but it's so much more than you think. And okay, 11 years one-on-one coaching, mindset coaching, fitness coaching, peak performance coaching, business consulting, business coaching. Hundreds of clients, if not thousands, probably hundreds. I would have to go find the number. I think it's like 500 something. And I have 35 currently, so a lot have come and gone over the last 11 years. What I can tell you is your peer group is determining such a massive amount of your success or failure. Like if you're in a peer group that's extremely fit and healthy, you will be extremely fit and healthy. The human condition, we all have different fears, we all have different goals and natural inclinations, but we all crave belonging. That is the one thing that all humans desperately crave. We're tribal, and we crave belonging so deeply. And if, and this is the metaphor that I use, it's like the floor, the ceiling, and the walls. We all are in a box. The floor is you're afraid of failure. So if you have a peer group that makes 6 figures, 100K, that's the average. You don't want to make only 50 because then you're a failure in your peers' eyes. But you definitely don't want to make 250 either because then you're ostracized from the group because you're one of those rich people now. So you basically keep yourself in this little box of, I don't want to be a failure in the eyes of my peers. I don't want to be a success in the eyes of my peers to where I outgrow them or get ostracized from the group. And I don't want to be judged. So I always say the floor is failure, the ceiling is success, and the walls are judgment. And we are all afraid of at least one of those 3. I think we're all afraid of all 3, but I think we have a big one. For me, the ceiling is the worst because my peer group was so much less ambitious in hindsight. And I think unconsciously and subconsciously with my abandonment issues from my childhood, I didn't want to lose friends and family. So I would just kind of go be successful over here and then kind of hide it and then go back to where I grew up, so to speak, metaphorically. And I eventually, my fear was losing all my friends and losing all my peers, and quite frankly, I have, by choice though. But pre-26, all my high school friends, college friends, corporate friends, I brought my high school friends to college, I brought my college friends to corporate, literally, there was a referral program where I got a ton of money for that. And I don't really associate with any of them anymore. And I know that that's going to sound mean, and quite frankly, some of them are probably very upset about it, and I accept responsibility for the fact that I sailed away. But here's what I would say. I got to the place where it's like, what would I regret more? My existential crisis at 26, mortality moment. The only thing I think I'm more scared of than losing all my friends and family is not reaching my full potential. And I realized that if my dream is to reach my full potential, would I regret staying around and not reaching my full potential, or would I regret being alone at the top of this metaphorical mountain? And my truth was, I chose my dreams. And I would say this to every one of my friends' faces, if anyone of them were listening. My hard, real truth, my acceptance is I did choose my goals and dreams and my mission over you. I did. And you know it, and I know it, and I accept the responsibility for that. And quite frankly, the reason I'm saying that for your listeners is, hey, that's a thing. That's a thing. And I'm telling you, I have coached dozens of people that have multi-million, you name it, very successful. And they all lose some of their friends. All of them. You cannot climb Mount Everest and take everyone with you. You cannot. And if you're trying to do that, you're stuck at base camp 1 with everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's super true, super powerful. It's something that I've endured as well. You can't. It's like a pulling feeling. If you choose one way or another, you are going to take some baggage, I think, with you, whether it's mentally or whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to go towards where that pull is strongest, and you have to be happy at the end of the day. And if you can't be happy, then what are we doing? Like you said, you got a second chance at this, and that's a tough thing that maybe a lot of people that have known you all along is a hard thing for them to maybe understand, because they didn't necessarily go through the same journey, the same walk and everything. But I've absolutely been there. An extroverted individual, I got a heavy dose of that young. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have all my friends forever, and then that is never true. And very much find myself now going, okay, well, as long as we're in these environments where these people make me happy and these things, I don't care what else they do. They shouldn't care what else I do. I've kind of fallen, like you said, to that ecosystem where we're all happy for one another in those times, and then we go home to our homes, and we're good with that. And we don't worry about certain things. But I found myself needing to let go of some things along the way so that I could go, this isn't important to me. Why am I looking at it like this? And I've had to evolve and change, and I'm okay with that, because I realized that I didn't care about that. Why was I so like being like
Same.
that?
Yep.
Like,
why did I pretend to value things that I really didn't? And I think it's ultimately it's fear, right? It's the belonging thing. You at least for me, it was, some people puff up to pretend they're better than they are to belong. Some people dial down to pretend they're regular to belong. That was me. And then some people just, are kind of on their own island and are too fearful of getting hurt, so they opt out of the game altogether. And I don't mean opt out of the game of life. I mean they opt out, like they're on their own island and they don't let anyone close to their heart. And I get why, because, you just, I think most people, your pain either comes from the social world or the real world. So for me, and this is scary to share because right now we're in the social world, in the real world, I don't struggle that much. Like behind the scenes when I'm alone, I'm fulfilled as hell. I believe in myself. I love getting things done. I stay focused. Like I don't struggle to work out consistently. I don't, like, none of that resonates. In the social world, I feel so like, am I the only one here that is trying to change the world? And not just talk about it, but like live it, right? And every now and then I'll be with my future in-laws or whatever, and I'll just be like, isn't it like, it's like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Am I the only one who's worried about, like, we got to get after it. We got to get our, like, so I'm like this insane hyper focus. I haven't taken a full day off in 11 years, and I'm not saying that to flex. A lot of people think that's horrible. I had one person named Deborah. She was a podcaster. She said, oh my God, that's so bad for you. I said, no, Deborah, that's bad for you. I don't want to take time off. I want to reach my full potential, and I want to put it all on the court every single goddamn day. And if you don't have that, that's fine, but I do. And I'm sick and tired of people trying to tell me how to live. It's like, oh, you work so hard, you're a workaholic. Why don't you work ever? You're coming at me? Like, it's like, yo, you're lazy, right? Like, why am I, you work too hard. What if you don't work enough? Right? So at the end of the day, too big, too small, too much, too little, too smart, not smart enough. Like, there is no way to win this social game. The social game sucks. I've been an engineer. I think in math. I can't stand the social world. From the moment someone said, hey, do I look fat in this? I said yes at level 6 out of 10. I hated the social world, right? It's awful. None of it even makes any sense, right? Here's the truth. All of us are unique. And we all have certain commonalities. We're all human beings. We're all Homo sapiens, okay? There's 500 different breeds of canine. You think there's only one breed of human? Homo sapiens, there's a freaking million different types of us. And we're not all the same, but we all pretend we are at the barbecue, and then we go back to our real life where we don't hate our life. So some people love social stuff. That's fine. That's all good. I I pretended to be different than I was for too long, and I regretted it. And I hope that everyone leans into who they are, assuming who you are is good for the world and others. Obviously, there are some horrible human beings that are just purely awful. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. But for the most part, if you do lean on the positive side of your nature and you lean into who you really are, that's going to be good for others and the world, assuming that you're not a horrible person. So that, to me, the social world is the wedding photos, the real world is the actual marriage. Two guesses which one matters more. And it's you got to do the marriage first, right? And the social world is your Instagram account, the real world is your bank account. And in high school, we get this all messed up. We care what other people think of us more than we think of us. It's like you can spend your whole life trying to get approval from everybody. It's never going to work. Even right now, there's certain listeners that are like, wow, this guy sucks, right? And that's okay. It's okay. I can't stay silent the rest of my life out of fear of what people from my past are going to think of it, right? So just free yourself from this little box we all put ourselves in, afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of judgment. I don't want to be too much or too little or not enough. It's just, listen, be all of what you are and go all in on that, because that's the one thing that car accident gave me. And I'm so grateful for this gift. This was like so good for me. Fortunately, no permanent damage and no deaths. Like, so fortunate. But this is what it gave me. That mortality moment was like, yo, you are gonna regret it if you don't put it all on the court. You're not even scratching the surface of your potential. I rested on talent, man. I was the guy who could party all night and still get straight A's on all the calc exams, not even go to class, okay? I rested on talent, and that is unacceptable. Because deep down, I was wildly unfulfilled because I was trying to fit in instead of have the courage to stand up.
And I think that the entire thing, like all of those points are so valid, and there's so many variables of what you said too, of people being able to gravitate towards excuses, or it's not the social norm. And a long time ago, it's the same idea of where you eventually got to, and now what you're living is, don't worry about it anymore. Like, if I get on social media, it's whatever I want to do, and if it's something ridiculous, I scroll past it, and you go towards like whatever it is I'm on there for, or I want to read about. I don't worry about it. I don't care what somebody thinks of me, because the truth is, nobody is going to be perfect. There's going to be some individuals that love me and some that hate me, and some that would never even met me and have already denied me. And I've lived all of that a lot in the last year, to be able to get to the point where I'm at right now. And it's still, navigating myself and whatnot. But I agree with you. I feel a heck of a lot more happy, to try and see what happens, whatever that level of success looks like.
Nice.
Level of success for me is just trying my best, coming in every day, being the happiest I can, and being way more creative than I've ever been. Like, it feels like a new version of
Nice.
yourself you've unlocked,
Yeah.
versus, trying to conform to everything else. Well, I can turn on anything and see some reason to be upset with the day, and I'm like, man, what a horrible life to live, man. I don't want to I want to be upset because something truly bad happened to me, not just because somebody said something bad happened.
Mm. And you know this as
So
well as I do.
yeah.
What the human mind, the brain is programmed to pick up on threat and danger. So obviously, the news and all that, it's going to gravitate naturally towards the shock value stuff. And if you're not careful, you will get caught up in all of. There's 8.3 billion people on this planet. 8.3 billion, 6 billion almost on the internet. So keeping up with the Joneses is now keeping up with the Rock, and it just messes your psychology up so hard. Because if you look at technology and you look at the improvements of the statistics of hunger and all the different things, wars, all that, violent crimes, all of the statistics statistically are going in the right direction. However, our awareness of the violent crimes that are still happening is so much higher because of everyone having a TV in their pocket, right? So you just have to, it's very hard to keep your mental health and your psychology strong in a world of 8.3 billion people with 6 billion people on the internet, and like I don't think, and I study the brain. I'm going to get my PhD in neuroscience at some point. I study the brain constantly. Neuroplasticity, functional, chemical, and structural changes of the brain. I'm obsessed. And the brain is not really ready to handle that much input, especially input that is fabricated or taken out of context or inflated. Like, I used to think when I was a kid I wanted to be famous. No, hell no. Absolutely not. I used to, Kevin, my business partner, we have a podcast, and we've been podcasting for 9 years, 11 for me, 9 for him. And we joke now. He is a podcaster who tolerates coaching. I am a coach who tolerates podcasting. I want to be behind the scenes, one-on-one with people. I will be here, and I'm grateful to be here, but this is one to scale. So podcasting is one to scale. Group coaching is one to several, and then one-on-one coaching is one-to-one. I like one-to-one, but you need all three. So I do coaching, training, and podcasting. But I don't think anymore, and this is this weird paradox, because I realize I want to have an impact. I want to change the world. Steve Jobs was a hero of mine growing up. Me and my buddy Kiki, you're in IT, so I can talk about this. Kiki and I, we would argue who's smarter, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. I built my first computer at 12, like PC Gamer Magazine and Newegg.com and all this stuff. You know the deal, right? You're a nerd too. A computer engineer. I'm a computer engineer. And I used to think I wanted to like change the world like Steve Jobs did, right? And I still intend on changing the world in my own unique way, for sure, but not through fame. And what's my point of all that? The social world, if nothing else lands in this conversation, is such a losing game, it's not even funny. Like, nobody actually knows all of you, except for hopefully your wife or husband. And everyone's making a judgment, as they should in some ways, not an unfair judgment. This is something that people have trouble with. People say you shouldn't judge. No. If someone's running at you full speed in a dark alley, best you judge. Make a judgment call. You gotta go, right? You can't just go through life not judging anything. Well, what's the difference between a shack and a mansion? You judge it, okay? You have to, but don't judge unfairly. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, read the book and then judge it. Like, you have to be discerning, and you can't be discerning without judgment. So the social world is basically a bunch of unfair judgments of yourself, others, in the world. No one's even within Hail Mary distance of accurate. And you can opt out of it if you want to. You can. And you can't fully opt out of it because the economy is built on people's reputation and your brand. And what is a brand? It's your reputation in the marketplace. It's like a high school for businesses. It's like, well, that's the popular girl, and that's the popular guy, and that's the nerd, and it's like a giant high school, you know? And depending on your line of work, you can't opt out of the social world completely, but what you can do is change your syntax. So in high school, there's the social world, what people think of you first, and then what you think of you second. Flip that. You can flip that. In high school, we all fall for that. It sucks, right? It's like, oh, why aren't I popular? Nobody likes me. I'm 5'2". You think I look young now? Imagine me at 14, right? I'm getting pity dances from my sister's friends. It was horrible. But the truth is you can flip the syntax and care more about your real life first and then the social world second. Yes, I have to care what my clients think of me. Yes, I have to care about what your listeners think of me to some extent, at least to the point where I can actually grow my company. But beyond that, who I am and what I am when no one's watching is and always will be what matters most. And it's like we have all these terms, right? Self-discipline, self-respect, self-acceptance, self-improvement, self-love. All these things are self. Your relationship with yourself. If you had a friend who broke as many promises to you as you've broken to yourself, how much would you value that friendship? You wouldn't. You don't show up for you. That's my coaching. That's my job. That's my life. Get you to show up for you. Get you to build yourself from the inside out. And we just aren't taught that. I was straight A's in high school, one of the top tech schools in the world, WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. Computer engineer, graduate with high distinction, master's in business, and I didn't learn a thing, not a thing about personal development, self-improvement, or personal growth. Nothing on mindset, nothing on goal setting, nothing on time management or productivity, nothing on courage, humility, vulnerability, and virtue, nothing. I was looking for answers. And 26, I found them. And I just working on you when no one's watching is gonna make everything else better. You can't change your mom or your dad or your stepdad or your aunt or your uncle. You can't change them. But what you can do is change your goddamn self. And you can set a boundary and have courage and say, hey, I'm sailing this way. And I want you to come with me, but if you don't, I'm still going.
I couldn't echo what you ended with more than that is the truth. And I think that's also probably a fear cliff for a lot of individuals that you likely have to help. I'm assuming because I see a lot of people get to the edge of that cliff and go, no, I do worry about what Bob, Sally, Bill, Susie all think, and then they never make that leap. It's like a paralyzing, like I can see it from afar in a lot of cases. And then I start thinking about myself, and I try not to let that drift too far, right? Because I still want to, like, who I am and, like you said, choose to build and whatnot. But oh man, what a paralyzing effect to not be able to get over that, to be able to take the free fall and experience a side that you never even knew existed. And I think maybe that's part of the problem, that you can't see it. You
Yeah.
can't see what's out there, what we might be able to see for you.
Yeah. It's amazing. On the other side of courage is that's the thing too. I think people think, well, this person did it and I can't. And yeah, maybe not everyone's going to be Michael Phelps or LeBron James. That's for sure. That's fair. But that doesn't change the fact that everyone who's ever achieved their dreams had to have massive amounts of courage. And even people who seem like they don't struggle do have fear. They're just not afraid of the same thing. Like my business partner, Kevin, oh, that must be so hard, Alan. You're so smart and people don't like you. It's like he's joking, It's like, I'd much rather have that. It's like, yeah, you say that. Okay, you say that, but you don't know. But the truth of the matter is there is no one on earth who doesn't need courage to reach their potential. Like, I think, and courage means you admit you're afraid. Because there's no need for courage if you're not scared, right? Oh, well, I'm not scared. It's like, yeah, you are. Of course you are, right? Maybe you're not scared of the same thing, right? Maybe you're not scared of heights. Maybe you're not scared of judgment. Maybe you're not, but maybe you are scared of failure. Maybe you are scared of your dad or your mom or whatever, right? So everyone's fearful. There's two types of people in the world. There's people who are fearful and there's liars. But courage is the point. Courage is the point. I try to make jokes, but courage is everything you want in life is on the other side of some form of courage. And not reckless, courage, right? So if you're at level 1, you need courage to get to level 2. And then you're going to need courage to get to level 3. And then you're going to need courage to get to level 4. And Next Level University is the name of our show, the name of our company. Next Level U, pun intended. Next Level U. Not Next Level Kevin, not Next Level Alan, but Next Level U. So you know the deal. Everybody knows. And hopefully this is a podcast where it can be something that unlocks where it's, okay, yeah, I am a coward. That's okay. Everybody's cowardly. Everybody. In more ways than you could imagine. I'm a coach, right? Like, I get to see behind the scenes. Some people are afraid of being rich. Some people are afraid of being poor. Some people are afraid. Everybody's a coward. You just have to have courage, right? And I think the people that are the most cowardly are the ones that pretend they're not, right? So just own it. Be vulnerable and say, yeah, I'm a coward for sure. I was a coward. I didn't tell my friends how I really felt. I was, hey, Kiki, why are you so lazy, man? Like, I just locked all that up, right? And then left years later, and he probably doesn't know why. It's like, honestly, because you don't have any goals and dreams, man. You're lazy. But you're not allowed to say that, right? Because then you're mean. But then you live this unfulfilling shell of a life where you never tell anyone what you really believe. And that's just bad for the world, because what you really believe could change things.
Well, and I'd argue too, like, if you're a good friend, isn't that part of being a good friend? Like, shouldn't you want to rattle, like, hey, I'm one of the closest individuals to you. Here's what I'm seeing. Maybe you're not seeing it because we do get stuck in routines and, day-to-day things. And until we break that cycle, at least for me as a very routine individual, I don't look at anything different. I just keep showing up. And I think that's a hard thing until somebody smacks me or something happens or whatever it is to go, oh, I guess I didn't think about that. I would want that challenge. I just said something kind of to the effect of what you just said yesterday to somebody, which was like, it was a joke. Like, I'm not going to retell the joke of like where he was going, not to offend anybody or professions or careers, but I'm like, that's going to be you if you don't wake up. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
headed towards that. And, we're okay. Like, he's still messaging me today, right? So
Nice.
at least he understands that, I can say those kind of things, and maybe it helped. I hope it helped, but people also got to be ready for that too. And that's a painful thing for me to absorb and go about my day, because I did not get that for a long time. I'm like, but I just told you. Why are you not I just told you, right? But
Well, that's the thing, right? Is someone has to want the humble pie, and they have to want the harsh feedback. And what I say to my clients is, I care more about your future than your feelings. I said I'm a coach, not a therapist, and that's for a reason. And I'm not. I coach therapists. I have a therapist. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with therapy. I'm just not that, because I'm more of a boot camp instructor. But and I just own it. And I say, listen, this coaching is not for you if you don't want harsh feedback. I can't help you improve and be successful if I have to talk about and over validate how awesome you are. It's like, that's not going to do it. The reason you're not more successful isn't because you don't believe enough in what you already believe. Oh, just believe more what you already believe. No, you have massive blind spots. You're inaccurate about yourself, others, in the world, and you know it. The 21st century, man. I mean, granted, I was bullied and like bad things, so I get it. We've overswung though. This overly validating horse shit, man. It's insane. It's like, oh, why can't we just say someone who's out of shape is out of shape? It's not going to help me to delude you into thinking you are, right? I was a fitness coach, and it's like, I'm not saying to shame you. I'm not saying to berate and bully people. That's not what I'm saying. I care enough about you to tell you the truth, because that's the foundation that you grow from. And my business partner, Kev, at one point was like, dude, you are losing it, man. Like, you used to be in shape. Like, what happened? And this was a while ago. But I went back and I thanked him for that. I said, thank you, man. You're right. I was getting a little delusional. Like, I was losing my edge. And I appreciate it. I respect it. And there's a big difference between being bullied and someone caring enough vulnerably to share something with you that they wish they didn't. No, not that they wish they did. They were scared to hurt you. I realized somewhere in my 30s, it's like, I want to help people reach their full potential, but I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings ever. And it's like, that's impossible, man. I am playing so many unwinnable games. And obviously I've shifted, right? So now it's the syntax. I care about your future and your feelings, but in that order. I care about truth first, and I'm going to have courage. But like, we have all these conflicting goals. It's like, I want everyone to like me and I want to change the world. Not a chance. That's impossible, right? So if you want to have low self-worth, play unwinnable games for your entire life. Which I did for 30 years. It was great.
yeah, I think the best thing is you're not anymore, and at least it was only for that long. And now you have, however long it's going to be, hopefully a very long time, to be able to play the other side of that and truly experience that. And everything you're saying, somebody's going to be able to resonate with at least something, because there's no way do I believe that people don't go through, like you said, something, some variable, something that's causing them a thought, or, like you said, I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. Well, I can drive and go pick up my stepdaughter from school, and somebody hurt my feelings. Like, like little things like that, of like somebody pulled down, did something dumb or whatever, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to change my way of how I go about having a great day. And then I'm going to find ways to try to put good out into the space.
You know
And
it.
hopefully that all adds up over time. And the more people that are able to find that, I'm, I'm with you. I'm telling you, it's a better way of going about it. Like, yeah, my career totally nuclear. A year ago, I had to figure out a whole new path, still figuring it out, and I'm okay with that. And that was not me. I had a routine. Now I have my routine that I'm building, but
You
where
got
does that
knocked out of your
routine
comfort
go?
zone, man. You got knocked out of your comfort zone, and now you have to transform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It can be anything. Like, I mean, to your point of where you're headed, like, as long as you're honest with yourself to go, all right, well, I want to see Alan because of X reason. Okay, well, you might have to have a couple tough sessions because I know what it was like for me going into the room or whatever, being like, oh wow, okay, I have a little bit more to think about, or the mirror convo I used to call it. I have to go stand in front of the mirror and have an honest conversation
Nice.
with myself now
Love it. Love it.
and go, do I like what I heard, or does that actually land a certain way? And maybe I do have to admit that they were right, and I need to do something about this. And that's on me. Like at the end of the day, you're just telling me what you see, and I appreciate somebody who doesn't know me, outside perspective, immediately meeting me and then giving me that. I'm like, okay, awesome. You don't have any sway. You have exactly what you're seeing and what you're saying, but you got to be ready for that. And I hope that more people do find that, for your sake, changing the world, at the same time for helping those individuals change the world and have a better day, a lot of days forward kind of thing.
Well, Ryan, thank you for having me. And if I have it written right here on my desktop background, both computers, I have it on my background on my phone, to reach my own unique potential and help others do the same. And so if I've helped you reach your own unique potential in any way today, I feel like I have done what I've chosen to do on this earth. And that fulfills the hell out of me, even though I was scared, right? And let's say you transform. Let's say you change something. And people don't necessarily know this, but the math is simple. It's 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000,000. So if you impact 1,000 lives from here on out, and I do too, that's 1,000,000. And times that by 1,000, if they impact 1,000 lives, there's 1,000,000,000. So we did change the world in a way, and not some fortune cookie stuff. I'm talking mathematically. We've mathematically changed the world in some way today. And to me, that's awesome. Like, that's, when I was a kid, if I had heard this, I would have been like, whoa, I need that, more of that, whatever that is, right? Because we all know, it's like the holidays, and I call them bobbers. Some people can't go below the surface at all, right? And it's like, can we talk about anything real, please? Can we talk about our dreams and our goals and our fears and our insecurities and our desires and why can't we talk about our future and our past? And, I remember sitting my mom down, like, what was that about, right? And it was hard for her, but she sat in it. And my relationship with her has gotten a lot better since that, because I'm 37 now. And when she was 37, I'm sitting there going, you were 37. What the was that about, right? And what am I going to do? Just bottle that up forever? I need to ask, like, what were you thinking there? The truth is, she wasn't thinking, right? But yeah, that stuff, this is the goods. I think it's the good stuff. And I think that emotionally mature adults, like, what is the expiration date on avoiding all of your stuff? Like, we're not allowed to call an alcoholic an alcoholic. We're not allowed to call out any of the crap. It's like, listen, when people do things, when you sweep it under the rug, nothing changes. You know what I mean? That's how positive transformation happens, through looking under the rug and going, wow, there's a lot of dust mites. We should probably spring clean here. Like, I drank too much and too often, for sure. Why can't you own that? Face that, see that. And in hindsight, there was some people who tried to call me out for a couple things, and it's like, thank you. In hindsight, you have to be willing to be the temporary villain in hopes that maybe they'll thank you one day. I tell my clients, I'll be the pain in the ass you hopefully thank one day. And I say hopefully because not everyone does. But like, yeah, if you want to reach your full potential, you're going to have to face every inadequacy. If you don't want to reach your full potential and you don't want to reach your goals and dreams, you don't have to do any of this. I mean, nothing I've said is even remotely relevant unless you have goals and dreams and want to reach your full potential. If you want to reach your full potential, you have no choice but to hear some of this and to face the mirror moments you're talking about. If you don't want to reach your potential and you don't have any goals and dreams, you don't have to change a thing. And to me, that's depressing. My goals and dreams saved my life. They got me out of relationships I should never have been in. Right? Goals and dreams, I think they can get you out of really terrible situations. They're the necessity. If you don't have any goals and dreams, you don't have the necessity to change, right? You getting whatever happened to your career, that created necessity. Now you have to transform. Now you have to get outside your comfort zone. Now you have to reinvent yourself. And hopefully that reinvention will help so many other people. Cool, man. I got to go in 2 minutes. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Sorry to close abruptly there. But thank you.
No, not a problem. I was just waiting because you said so much good stuff there that I wanted to make sure that I followed up real quickly and then said, Alan, for people that want to connect with you, they want to find you, they want to do a lot of these things we've talked about, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I used to think I was for everyone. I've learned through massive pain and failure that's not the case. So if you don't resonate, that's okay. I'm not your cup of tea, like you mentioned. That's genuinely good, and I don't want you to try to pretend that I am. That said, if you do resonate and you're like, whoa, I want some more of that, Next Level University is a podcast. This is the tagline: success and personal development, 0.1% improvement every single day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. We have 2,441 episodes as of today, this morning, and we do an episode every day. So I have it written over here. 0.1% per day leads to 9% per quarter, leads to 41% year over year. I'm rounding to the nearest percent here, which means you double your income every 2 years. I don't believe in quick fixes. I don't believe in any short-term anything. Like running a mile won't do anything. Running a mile a day every day for a decade will change your whole world. So to me, if you have humility and work ethic, that's the other thing too I'll share. If you don't have work ethic, you're not going to like Kevin and I at all. Like this whole 4-hour work week, like none of that. We're not interested. No one reaches their potential 4 hours a week. But if you really have a sincere interest in stopping the quick fixes and the magic bullets and the nonsense and the marketing and make $100,000 with no effort, then you're going to like our show, because it's basically boring fundamentals every single day that actually work in real life, not just on social media. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And if that does resonate with you, you are our people. We call them Next Level Warriors, Next Level Nation. We have a fitness group. We got all kinds of free stuff. We got paid stuff. We have a whole community now, and it used to be very inclusive. Now it's become pretty exclusive. We do green, yellow, red. And if you're not the type of person, like, you won't resonate with this anyway. But if you think you might be, I'm telling you, as long as you're respectful and put in sincere effort, you're going to love what we got going on.
And I absolutely love all that. We'll include that in the episode release. If that does resonate with you, absolutely reach out. And with that, Alan, I really appreciate you taking the time to spread your message, spread your thoughts, spread all the good that you're trying to do out there in the world. I love it. And I appreciate you taking the time with us today. And with that, the meeting has now been adjourned, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you, everybody, and take care.